What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Atlantic Files, the number one podcast on the number one division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. As always, joined by your host, myself, Alex Fishbein, and we got Dennis Clausen. What's going on, Dennis?
Jesus fucking Christ, you didn't even give me a heads up that we were going live. I could have had my pants down or something.
I know, I wanted to surprise you. You like the little intro there? You like the little tunes with the stream starting soon?
Are they gonna hear that?
Oh yeah, they hear everything. Tyler just said, "Oh, I like the new addition you added." Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate it.
Don't add stuff unless you run it by me first, would you? Come on. Fucking,
I'm sorry.
You throw me way off guard here. How do you know I wasn't picking my nose or something?
I mean, I can see the little picture of you down in the bottom, at least on my screen. Other people can't. But...
Oh, you can see what I'm doing? I just can't see what you're doing? That's good to know.
Oh, it doesn't show me in the bottom if I'm not on the screen?
No?
Oh, yeah, it shows you. So, I know what you're doing.
You might listen. If you didn't tell me that, you might not have wanted to know what I'm doing. Well, who is that guy from the guy from CNN? They caught him like beating off on.
Oh, I forgot about that.
They fucking caught him beating off during a Zoom thing.
I completely forgot about that. Well,
I did.
I mean, at least if I catch you, other people aren't going to catch you because I'm not going to put you on the screen if that's happening.
Hey, whatever. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
True.
Hi, Tyler. I did say hi to Tyler.
Yes, Tyler, what's going on? Welcome to everybody else that is joining right now as well. We appreciate it. How you doing, Dennis? How's everything going? How's the new season treating you?
Horrible. Probably about as good as yours.
True. I mean, both of our teams only have one win, so.
And your team beat Indiana, and I'm like there was like a sigh of relief in Philly once they got that first win, and I was thinking to myself, they beat Indiana. Like let's not like be talking like the dry spell is over. Like they still only beat Indiana.
Yeah. We might as well just start with them since we're talking about it. As it says down there, Sixers start off looking like booty cheeks. They, for any of the people watching, if you join me on Sixers Saturday, which Dennis will be joining me for some episodes probably or whenever he can, I talked about how Joel Embiid looked pretty terrible up until the Pacers game. Well, no, the game before is when he had like 40 and they still lost. And then Tyrese Maxey still is struggling a little bit to get into the offense. James Harden has looked amazing, which of all things, I know he's been in, talking about him getting into the best shape of his life, so on and so forth. But I was not expecting him to look this good, this fast, and the rest of the team look terrible.
Well, I mean, the strippers will do that to you. So
True.
Who knows what kind of extracurricular activities he had going on in the offseason. But I like how you brought up that Tyrese Maxey thing, because remember you used to, like, punch me in the nuts after I would say anything bad about Tyrese Maxey, and now all of a sudden you come out and you say, well, Tyrese Maxey's, is not... Come on.
I mean, he played well in the playoffs and everything, but now with whatever offensive system they're going... I can't even tell you what kind of offensive system it is, because I don't even think it is an offensive system. He is just struggling to really find his consistency. And especially the latest game against the Pacers, actually, he was just forcing like so many bad shots because he was just trying to get himself out of a slump. I think at one point he was like 1 for 9 or something. and he would just try and take on like 3 defenders at a time and throw up a shot. And I'm like, that's not how you get out of a shooting slump, by making your life harder. Um, but
Well,
he'll
in
get
his
there. He'll be fine.
defense, like he's got a lot of pressure on him. I think this he has more pressure this season than he has in previous seasons
Hmm.
because the this is like the make it or break it year. I feel like for him
True.
because they've invested so much, they've turned down a lot of offers to keep him, and it has to be a lot of pressure for a guy that age to be playing in Philadelphia. You're coming in after a nasty breakup with Ben Simmons. You're kind of like the quasi, even though Harden got dealt for Simmons. Maxey is
Right.
kind of like the quasi replacement. So there's a lot of pressure on there.
No, that's true. And not only did they turn down trade offers for him, but they turned down trade offers for like there was Kevin Durant was rumored in there. There was Tyrese Halliburton was in there. Donovan Mitchell. They talked about bringing in multiple big name people, multiple stars at that, and they turned it down because most of them wanted Maxi included in the deal. So yeah, that is going to bring a hell of a lot of pressure with it. And like I said, I think he'll still be perfectly fine. I think he'll find his footing and be okay. But it's just the early going is kind of sketchy right now. And Tyler brings up, does Doc need to be fired? I mean, if the team continues to underperform for probably like the next couple weeks, I wouldn't be surprised if they fired him.
I mean, was that a question or was that a statement? Because he had an exclamation point and then question marks. So what is he
I know.
saying here?
I don't know. I mean, I'm taking it as a question, and I'm going to answer with the fact that if you ask me right now, I would say I'm leaning 70-30 in favor of firing him. Just because, too, in the games against Boston and Milwaukee, even in the game against San Antonio, there was no sort of offensive sets. Like, I didn't see any kind of plays being run at all. There was no exactly, like, it didn't even look like there was exactly like a game plan. It was just kind of give Harden the ball, do a little what you do, give Embiid the ball, do a little what you do, and then give Maxey the ball, do a little what you do, and then if all 3 of you aren't getting it, all right, fine, now we can pass the ball around.
Well, here's the thing: the ISO ball with Harden has worked over the years, and if he keeps
True.
playing the way he's playing, he's averaging 27 right now. He's shooting nearly 38% from three. He's getting to the line and he's making his free throw shots. So he is playing nearly as good as the James Harden, the Rockets version of James Harden. Like he's playing out of his mind. He looks good. He looks in really good shape. He's committing when he's making his shot. Like he, he's back. You know what I mean? As long as he stays
Oh, yeah.
healthy, then it won't be an issue. The issue I see is, and I told you about this. I text you, and is it texted or text?
I always just say texted, even though that doesn't sound like correct English.
All right, so I texted you, and I said that Embiid looks like ass. Like he's gassed. Like he's not in good shape at all right now. And then those reports came out that he was dealing with plantar fasciitis, which is, you know, not an easy thing to deal with, especially if you're 7 feet tall and 250 pounds. I would say he probably weighs. I mean, he's a big
Yeah.
dude, so there's a lot of weight on those feet. So that's concerning, especially too that there's a chance that this could pop up as the season goes on. But the Sixers are, it, for one, I think firing Doc. I mean, you should be ashamed of yourself. It's the team lost to Boston and Milwaukee. Okay, you got to give the guy a pass. But if you lose to San Antonio, who's not playing as bad as everybody thought they would be playing, Like you lost to some three pretty capable teams. Like San Antonio's not the tanking team that they were predicted to be. So they beat Indiana, but now they have a tough test ahead. They got 2 games with Toronto in Toronto. Then they're going to go up against the Bulls. And then 2 games with Washington, who for some reason Washington's not even playing that bad. So Bradley Beal's hurt. Well, he got hurt, which is no surprise. Back tightness. So who the hell knows what's going to happen? But if Bradley Beal plays out the rest of his contract in Washington, I'll be so surprised. But that's a completely different topic. But yeah, they're in trouble. They got a pretty rough road ahead.
Yeah, I mean, after the first 2 games, I wasn't thinking fire Doc. And by the way, Tyler said it's both a question and a statement. um,
It's all right,
but
Taylor.
after those first 2 games, I wasn't saying fire Doc just yet. Even though I haven't been a fan of Doc since last season, as it is. But first 2 games, you're facing the 2 teams that are the 2 favorites to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Granted, the first game against Boston, there's supposed to be all this turmoil and like the head coach isn't there and blah, blah, blah. And even though I kept saying Boston's still going to be a damn good team, they came out, they proved they're a damn good team. The one thing that also is fighting against the Sixers and whatever game plan they have, this new take foul rule in transition favors faster teams. And the Sixers, based on pace, are the slowest team in the league. Because they're really not getting out on any fast breaks. Especially the first couple games, they weren't even throwing that lob pass far down the court to Tyrese Maxey, maybe once or twice. Against the Pacers, they were pushing the break a hell of a lot more and getting easy baskets. And that's the exact thing they should have been doing from game 1.
I mean, you think... Go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say, but the game plan never seemed to look like it was tailor-made to the team that they were playing. It just looks like it's like, here's what we got, this is what we're doing, and I'm not changing anything, which is normal Doc Rivers.
Well, I mean, Embiid's not in shape. He's got a foot injury, possibly. Even if it's not an official injury to where he's on the injury report, that's something that could be bothering him. And if it's not bothering him, it did bother him to the point where he's just not in good shape. 2, you got PJ Tucker. He's 38 years old. Tobias Harris is not a young dude anymore. So you got you got 2 old guys in there, and then you got one guy who's not in good shape. Maxey's scared of his own shadow. And now you have Harden, Harden's in shape. He's not a young guy either, but at least he's in shape now. So Harden's the only reason, that the Sixers they even have one win right now.
True.
With that said, though, I want to just say something about the Boston thing. I mean, they beat Philly, Philly hasn't been a good team this season. They beat Miami, who hasn't looked the best, and they beat Orlando. And then they finally lost to the Chicago Bulls, the Chicago Bulls team without Lonzo Ball. So let's relax with the Boston stuff because they won 3 games against teams that aren't really playing that well, and then they beat the Magic. So it'll be a different story. The Celtics are coming up here against 2 games in Cleveland. Then they got to go. They're going to bring Chicago in, Washington's, and then Memphis is on there. So Denver is upcoming. So we're going to see what this team is really made about when they go up against some pretty consistent teams, like better teams than Philly and Miami, and certainly Orlando.
No, that's true. I mean, I'm not saying like their schedule. We'll get to them in 1 second. I just want to finish the Sixers thought.
What's more to finish? They stink.
I mean, yes, they do stink.
They're horrible.
But the other thing that I also wanted to say is they spent this offseason trying to get a better bench and trying to get some guys that aren't afraid of their own shadow, that can be the, energy guys. And so far, PJ Tucker has been that guy. and I love it. And I hate the fact that I've seen Sixers fan, like I'm in Facebook groups for strictly Sixers stuff, and people are bitching and saying that like, oh, PJ Tucker's not a starter, and it's like, all right, last season you guys were complaining that the starting unit had no backbone. Now you got PJ Tucker who's grabbing offensive boards that the Sixers sucked at last year. He's also playing defense and doing all the dirty work, and that's exactly what they needed. But the bench has been pretty awful minus the Pacers game. And again, it's the Pacers. You're supposed to beat that team. The Pacers are actively tanking. And so my question too is I'm just wondering what Doc is thinking in terms of who he's playing. Like we've seen B-Ball Paul 1-2 games, I think. We saw Montrezl Harrell 2 games. We saw Matisse has played a total of like 3 total minutes in 4 games. Shake Milton got into his first game against the Pacers. So I'm just wondering what's the decision process? What's the decision making process in when these guys are going to play? Who's playing over who? Because at first I thought it was matchup based, but then the matchups didn't make sense. So then I was like, okay, maybe it's not matchup based. I have no clue. Maybe he's just throwing people in there and seeing what sticks. So I think the bench is going to be a big issue for the team moving forward if they don't figure this out.
Well, unless the Sixers get really, if the Sixers end up starting like 2-10, then maybe I would consider getting rid of Doc. But if they're still in playoff contention, let them ride out the rest of the season, then start your coaching search because who knows?
I agree.
May be available by then.
True. True. He was on the Sixers bench before, so why not?
He's been on every bench.
True. But yeah, going to Boston. So, and Tyler said thank you, Dennis, in terms of when you were bringing up their schedule and everything. Muhammad, what's up again?
Yes.
We will get to Golden State once we get through the Atlantic Division. Crazy stuff there, especially with Clay getting ejected for the first time in his career. But yeah, the Celtics,
because he's playing like ass. That's why.
True.
Frustrated.
Yeah, Jonathan Kuminga's fucking killing me in fantasy. But anyway, Jayson Tatum has looked. He's exceeded my expectations. Now, don't get me wrong. I expected Tatum to be good, but he's been the high point scorer for the team in all 4 of their games, starting from the game 1 going 35, 29, 40, 26. Not only that, but he led the team in rebounds in 2 of those games. Against Miami, he led the team in assists. If you put together really early MVP race, Jayson Tatum would be in it. He would be in like the top 3.
Yeah, he's having a good season. I mean, people expected him to be in the MVP conversation, so I don't think should be really surprising to anybody.
True. But I don't think they expected him to be this good this early, especially because there's been a lot of people talking about Jaylen Brown being better than Jayson Tatum after the postseason.
That's stupid, but I mean, for a guy who messed his shoulder up in the postseason, I think Tatum did a pretty damn good job to take that team that was dealing with Robert Williams not even seeing the court really. They didn't have Brogdon then. They had Derek White and they had Grant Williams. They really didn't have anybody. So for Marcus Smart, injured his ankle and injured something else in the postseason, so he missed some games. So for a guy who really was doing it all on his own with a much more significant shoulder injury than was initially reported, I think he did a pretty damn good job. And Jaylen Brown wasn't the most consistent. I mean, he had some really good games, but then he also had a couple crappy games too. So, yeah.
True. No, that's true. When Jaylen Brown has a bad game, he has a bad game. That's the thing with Jaylen Brown. It definitely hits both extremes.
Yeah, we'll see what he's. I mean, he's averaging 32 right now, but we'll see what he's made of when the Celtics, they're going to go up against those teams that I was talking about, the Cavs a couple times. So we'll see where he's at and things like that. And but yeah, I mean, he was definitely going to be in the top 5 MVP conversation. I mean, he broke out of his shell last season in the second half when the Celtics started playing better. The first half of last season, he looked like dog shit, but he definitely turned things around. So it looks like he's a legit player, like a legit superstar. And
Right.
like last year coming into the season, he was a good player, but now he's a superstar. He's
For
like on
sure.
Morant level. You know what I mean?
Oh, I agree. Muhammad here does not agree with Jason Tatum for
Well, who's
MVP.
Muhammad one?
Steph Curry,
Andre
probably.
Iguodala?
um, but speaking of ejections, Grant Williams got ejected the other night for making contact with a ref, and then got suspended for the next game
Can't touch those
for
refs.
for reckless contact. Which I don't know if I agree with all that, but either way, I just think it's funny because he got so upset off a play that was blatantly a blocking foul. Like he tried to take the charge, was obviously still moving, and then got so upset he ran towards the ref and hit the ref, and then got ejected and suspended.
Well,
Like he
here's
did
the
all that
thing.
for a wrong call, or I mean, for a correct call.
These refs got to fucking relax, for one. They are
True.
so uptight over everything. They're teching people left and right. They're reviewing everything. Like, stop it. Like, grow some balls for for the ladies. I don't know, do something, but toughen up. You know what I mean? Like literally techs all the time. You just see technical fouls for nothing. And if I could go a game without watching a game, without watching a 5 minute review of something stupid from every angle for some meaningless play, that would be fantastic.
I know. I don't know how I feel about the new rule about taking fouls in transition either. I mean, seeing transition dunks is cool and all, but like if you're I think it kind of lessens the tactics, especially like towards the end of the game if you're trying to save your team from getting like from them getting the easy bucket and like getting ahead or something. Like I don't know. I just don't know how I feel about
I mean, there's a lot of stupid rules. I mean, you can't even stand up if you're on the bench anymore.
it. True. Oh yeah, wasn't that a Jovic that got suspended in the Miami Heat fight because he left the bench area?
Well, leaving the bench has always been a thing, but now you can't even stand up to celebrate.
Yeah, that's dumb. That just takes the fun out of it.
So, but even if you're not in the game, don't leave the bench.
Right.
Like, don't get out there to get because that's you're asking for nothing but problems.
True. No, that's true. So moving on to your guys. Brooklyn is obviously still trying to figure out the flow to that offense as well.
I mean, how
Not
long are we going to try to
exactly.
figure it out here?
I mean, you threw in a whole new piece with Ben Simmons, so now you got to figure out the whole offense with Ben. I mean, I will say Claxton looks very good so far.
Mike's boy.
Yep, I gave Claxton a whole lot of shit, but I will admit he looks pretty good so far.
But I'm going to use the same argument. 3, 4 games into the season, I'm not going to go
Yeah,
crazy over anybody. Like, for one, I got to see if he'll stay healthy first, which is an issue. He's not known to be a guy who can stay on the floor. So unless he stays on the floor, like, and does this consistently, then I'm gonna be like, okay, yeah, Nico's shit hot. But until he does that, I'm not fucking getting all rock hard over a guy 3, 4 games. You know what I mean?
right. No, I definitely hear you. I mean, there's a lot to. I mean, like that's a lot of people's favorite thing is to overreact to these first 4 games. Um, I've overreacted to these games before too. I mean, especially after the Sixers starting 0-3.
I
So,
mean, you're saying to fire your coach, and it's only been 4 games.
well, all right. The coach has been around for 3 years.
All right, but shouldn't you have fired him then in the offseason if he was that bad?
I
I mean,
don't know.
not you. You don't have that authority. I'm just saying, like,
All I'm saying is the Phillies are in the World Series right now, and they fired their coach after like 50 games. So,
so you think that's going to happen? You think that's going to solve the issues?
I mean, I feel like Sam Cassell could bring better in game adjustments and maybe a better game plan.
Well, here's the thing. Let's start with Joel getting in shape first,
Well,
and then
yeah,
we'll
I
see what
agree.
happens. But I thought we were talking about the Nets.
We are.
You,
We
you
are.
had your moment.
But what do you think about Ben Simmons so far? Because he I think he has either just as many or close to as many fouls as he has points so far.
Yeah, they fouled. The fouls is an issue, but he fouled. I saw him foul out once in the preseason. He fouled out the other night. Of the refs that were calling the call the other night, he got fouled out. I forget which game it was, but he barely touched the guy, and they called the foul and got fouled out. So
Yeah, that sixth foul was very ticky tack. I will
stupid.
definitely say that.
So he's still getting adjusted. He's not really like I thought he would be more aggressive offensively, but he's actually like not even doing anything offensively. Like, and they were doing the same stuff to him that they were doing in Philly, which is they're not even paying attention to him because he
Right.
doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? So I'd like to see him get a little more aggressive with taking some smart shots from the inside, like good, nice close shots, the ones that we know he can make, and nothing stupid. Play defense. His passing ability has been on display. He's been really good there. He's trying to distribute the ball. The Nets have actually been pretty good passing the ball, especially the last game, which against Memphis they were passing it really well. Even though they lost, they were still moving around good, which is a very welcome sight. Kyrie Irving's playing really, really, really well. KD's KD. He's been a defensive monster on top of his. KD's been shooting a little. It's been a little rough on the shooting end for pretty much a lot of guys. Joe Harris is coming back from an ankle issue, so he's not really where he should be, but he'll get there. Seth Curry's still out, but he's nearing a return, so that'll add things. They still have Patty Mills, and so the Nets are looking all right if they continue to mesh and gel and stuff, and Kyrie stays on the floor. Right now, I think Kyrie's in the MVP conversation.
I could see it.
As
I
weird
mean,
as that
Kyrie's been
sounds,
playing very well.
he's been playing super well. He's been playing like the guy. And I've said it a million times. Kyrie Irving could be. He could have had two MVPs already.
Oh yeah.
He could have three. Like he's the most naturally talented player in the league right now. The guy doesn't even have to try, and he's better than most people. He's just a nutcase. That's all.
I mean, as of right now, he's averaging 27 points, almost 6 assists, almost 4 rebounds a game. He's also averaging a block a game and over a steal a game.
What's he shooting from three?
He's shooting only 28% from three.
Okay, but that's in line to where he's
But
usually at in his career.
yeah, but 46% from the floor.
Yeah, I mean he's playing well. I mean, so you can't ask for much more of that. And I think Durant is averaging. He must be averaging at least a couple blocks per game.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, his defensive game has stepped up a little bit so far this season. But my main thing is what I thought was going to
Two
happen
blocks
with
right on the
Brooklyn.
money. He's averaging.
There you go. What I thought was going to happen with Brooklyn was I thought the defense was going to get a little bit better with Ben Simmons there. Claxton's a pretty good defender. Durant's getting a little bit better in defense. Kyrie hasn't been terrible. But as of right now, they're one of the lowest ranked defenses in the league. They gave up 130 to New Orleans. Even though they won, they gave up 105 to Toronto. They gave up 134 to Memphis. I mean, now they play Milwaukee, and Milwaukee has a good offense. So I'm very curious to see what happens with that
Yeah, but
because it hasn't been great.
here's the thing, though. They haven't been shooting well, and they're they've sucked on the glass. So they haven't been getting rebounds. They've been missing shots. Nobody's getting offensive rebounds. Like you think that things would get better, but they're not. I don't know how beneficial it is to have Royce O'Neal in the starting lineup, but it is what it is. Um, I mean, Ben Simmons is still moving the ball around, even though he's playing the four, but he's still moving the ball and kind of playing like a point guard, anyways. Kyrie's playing a lot off the ball as well, like he did when Harden was around. So, I mean, they're a work in progress, but it's going to get better, I think, when Seth Curry's healthy and Joe Harris is healthy. I think that's going to open up a lot more possibilities and ways they can beat people. And if they
True.
get after it on the glass a little bit more, then it'll be better.
That's true. Tyler says the refs hate Ben, and I'm here for it. They really do. I
I
mean,
think more
he's
than the
fouled out
refs hate
twice in the
Ben.
regular season now. Pretty sure he fouled out the very first game against New Orleans too.
Yeah, I said
Could be
more than
wrong
the
on that.
refs hate Ben. A lot of people hate Ben.
True. That's very true. Um, so that being said, let's move on to the Toronto Raptors, a team you and I consistently talk about a lot because we love watching the Toronto Raptors play. They're currently 2-2. Beat the Cavs, beat the Heat, lost to the Nets, also lost to the Heat. Scotty Barnes a little banged up. Hopefully he comes back healthy. Um, Koloko. I'm really liking what I see out of Koloko. He even got the start. What I think it was last game or the game before.
Yeah, I think
Koloko's
he's
looking
got
good.
one. He's got at least one. I don't know if he's got more than one, but in
Yeah,
his starts though, the other night he started when Scotty was out with the ankle thing.
right.
And it was that last night. I don't remember,
I
but
think it was. Yeah, it was. Well, not last night, but I think it was the night before against Miami, the one that they beat Miami.
right. So you had Koloko starting, and then you had Gary Trent, OG, Van Vliet, Siakam, and Koloko. Koloko plays a little bit, but then really Precious Achua, who had 22 points or 22 rebounds
Yeah, that was
the other night
insane.
and 10 points. I mean, that's crazy. So the Raptors are like, if you could keep these guys healthy, which Scotty Barnes, he had tweaked his ankle. Okay, it's going to cost him at least it cost him at least a game. It's probably going to cost him maybe a game or two more. But other than that, I mean, the Raptors are right there in the Atlantic Division. They could win the Atlantic Division. Why not?
I mean, I think another person that you could enter in the very early MVP ladder is Pascal Siakam. Siakam has looked great. He's been getting more than his career average as well. I mean, he's up to like in these 3-4 games, he's up to 26 points, 10 rebounds, almost 7 assists, and 1.5 steals a game, shooting 47% from the floor. I
Yeah,
mean,
Siakam's the real deal.
Siakam is fucking good.
He's really good, and Van Vliet's not a slouch either.
Nope,
Scotty Barnes
nope.
is 1 year away from being at a completely different level than he is now. Gary Trent's a nice little piece to add, and OG's been playing well, and he should continue to play well as long as he stays healthy.
The only surprise I think I have is the fact that they've actually, even though I've been asking for it, they've actually been playing Delano Banton more than Malachi Flynn, and Malachi Flynn hasn't even gotten in at all in like 2 of their 4 games.
Well, they were talking about that during training camp. I remember reading about that. They were nurses in the rest of the staff were really high on Banton over
Mm,
Flynn. I didn't think that they were going to be that high to where he was
right.
just going to kick him out of the rotation. But I mean, Banton is he's a good player. It's better than I
Yeah.
ever gave him credit for.
I mean, the intangibles are ridiculous. I mean, like Ben Simmons, like a 6'9" point guard is. If he has that kind of skill, you're gonna get the benefit of the doubt. And then if you start showing improvement, it's like, hell yeah, we got to play this guy way more often.
Yeah, I like it. I like the Raptors.
Yeah, me too. They're gonna be really good. They're gonna be right in the playoff mix. So both of our favorite topic, the New York Knicks. Julius Randle is accepting his role a little bit more. There was one point where the crowd was chanting for Obi Toppin to come in, and Randle was all about it. And Randle seems perfectly fine again. He even talked about how the Knicks fans are the best fans in the world, all sorts of stuff. His
Not
PR
really.
team, his PR team is just they're up. Whoever his PR team is, they need a raise.
Well, the thing, I mean, remember everybody wanted to. I mean, if somebody could have gotten away with it, they might have shot him during the
Oh
summer.
yeah, oh
They
yeah.
hated him so much.
Knicks fans wanted to personally drive him anywhere but New York.
Right. Which would have been fine with me. I would have been like, okay. The
Right.
only thing this city has is pizza and bagels. I mean, it's
I
not
mean, nothing wrong
clean.
with pizza and bagels though.
No, I could live on pizza and bagels. But here's the thing, like adding Brunson, who the Mavericks definitely look kind of lost without Brunson.
Hmm.
But adding Brunson, who is an all star caliber player, taking all the pressure off Julius Randle, who doesn't have to be the primary scoring option. He could be the number two guy now, which is where he's comfortable, and he could start enjoying it a little bit more. And then when the Knicks suck, you can say, well, hey, it's Brunson's fault.
True.
So
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I will say, I thought R.J. Barrett was gonna start a little bit better than he has, but
I mean, you did.
I thought he was gonna be a little bit better. But I guess not. I mean, right now, just 16 points, lower than his career average already. And he's only shooting 34% from the floor and 18% from three. Yikes.
Yeah, I mean that's not a surprise at all.
I thought it was going to be like,
The guy got the sympathy contract.
true. They couldn't trade him, so they just gave him the contract.
I told you that he's the third girl under the bleachers when the other two were with some other dude. You know what I mean?
True. I
It's like,
mean,
hey,
you're not wrong.
hey, Stephanie and Jennifer, they didn't want to hang out tonight, so you know, Carrie, what are you doing? You gonna meet me under the bleachers? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's the only thing you could get. You know,
I mean, I'm sure they're going to try and offer him to someone in this offseason too. But now with that contract, people are going to be like, going to have to attach like 4 first-round picks if you want us to take that.
I mean, if they were smart, they should have tried to orchestrate something to get Tyler Hero.
True. I mean, honestly, close to anybody else.
I mean, the Heat
And I-
didn't want him.
And I've been a supporter of RJ Barrett for a while, and if this continues this season, I'm probably jumping off that bandwagon.
I mean, I jumped off that bandwagon a long time ago, but Tyler Hero was a guy too that the Heat like they waited till like the last minute before they extended him.
Right.
The Heat were like when you're trying to get a date to the prom and you ask 2 other girls, but then they're going with somebody, so you're like, shit, I'm gonna have to ask Carrie. And then she's your last option at the last minute. Like you're asking her on a Thursday and the prom's on a Saturday. That's Tyler Hero.
Oh God. So
I
RJ
mean,
Barrett's the
I'm
one
not
that doesn't
wrong.
even RJ Barrett's the one that doesn't even get a prom invite, but Tyler Hero at least gets the prom invite.
RJ Barrett gets brought under the bleachers in
I
this
gotcha.
situation. So RJ Barrett's the one who, after you try to call a couple girls and they're out doing something, you want to get your little Friday night fix,
Mm-hmm.
and go under the bleachers. That's what that is. It's a third option. He's like, nobody wanted him until they had no other option, and then
I
And
got
then
you.
Heroes the prom date that you ask two chicks to the prom, they don't want to go, and you're like, damn, I don't have a prom date. How am I going to score after the prom? So you gotta, you know, hey, you want to go to
True.
the prom? And so that's where it's at. I mean, he's the last option. Nobody wanted him,
Right.
and the Heat didn't want him. The Knicks didn't
True.
really want R.J. Barrett.
The, making a swap for those two would have just been perfect.
Now the Heat are like, son of a bitch. Now I'm stuck with this white guy who can't play defense.
And we lose the one defensive player we had in PJ Tucker, so
Right,
now the whole team can't play defense.
right. We lost our attitude in the starting lineup, so now we get this skinny white guy running around trying to play defense.
And our attitude is on the bench acting like a coach because he's been on the team for 20 years and
20 years,
hasn't played since 2012.
but he wants to act like he's been such a. They act like the guy's been playing actively for 20 years.
I know.
Like he's been with the
Like,
same team. Wow, it's like, yeah, if had he played, it might have been different.
he joins Kobe and Dirk as the only person to be on a team for 20
Yeah,
seasons. Like, there's a bit of a difference there.
and if you don't know, we're talking about Udonis Haslam. So
Exactly. But I will say Hartenstein has looked pretty good.
I never really knew a Carey, by the way.
I don't either. The
I
only
don't think
carry I
there's a
know is
lot of
that singer.
Carey Underwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always down to watch her on Sunday night. She sings the anthem for Sunday Night Football.
Oh, I forgot she did the Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, I didn't. She looks good. And then you got Carrie Fisher.
Oh, I forgot about her.
She's Star Wars girl, right?
Yep. Yep.
And then the Carrie, the movie.
I don't think I ever saw that movie. I think
It's some horror
I remember the name of the movie, but I don't remember seeing it.
I never saw it, but pretty much I don't. Oh, Carrie from Sex and the City.
I never watched Sex and the City
I
either.
I think their Carrie was who the what the hell is it? Sarah Jessica Parker. I think she
Okay.
was Carrie in Sex and the City. I don't know if anybody can elaborate on that. However, I watched Hocus Pocus 1 for the first time the other day,
Oh yeah.
and I saw Sarah Jessica Parker in that movie as one of the witches.
Yep.
I was under a spell, all right.
She's in the new one too. They brought them all back.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet because I'm like, but I mean, I'm sure she looks better now that she's older, you know?
How old is she now?
She has to be in her 50s.
That's what I was thinking too. Let's see. She is 57.
No.
Yeah.
And she looks that good?
Born in 1965.
Yeah, she looks good. Tell you.
For 57, I hope I look that good for 57.
Oh, you will. You will. Your
I don't
future
know.
bride will.
Oh, she definitely will. I don't know about
Yeah.
me. I won't have much hair. The hair will be in all the places I don't want it to be. I'll be all wrinkly.
Well,
It
that's
won't be
what
good.
happens when you get older. You start getting hair on your ears and stuff, and you're like, what the like, where did this come from?
Like, the moment I got hair on my back, I was like, yeah, I'm done with this.
I got blessed, though. I still have a pretty good head of hair.
I know. We had a comment on one of our videos saying, for the video about MVP, one of the commenters said, I think I have Dennis's hair for MVP.
But that's it's all the credit to Johnny. Johnny knows his shit.
Hell yeah. Everyone's got to go to Johnny that lives in Dennis's area. If you know, you know.
Hopefully it was a female who commented on my hair, not some guy who looks like me down in his mom's basement.
I mean,
I don't want to know. I'm just gonna pretend it was a female who said that.
Well, he didn't. It didn't have like a real name. It
Good.
says
Let's keep it.
Crash Fist Fight.
That doesn't sound
That's
good.
the username.
That doesn't sound promising. Anything with fisting in there doesn't sound good.
You might want to stay away from that.
Yeah, I'm not into
Um,
that.
but to wrap up with the Knicks, Hartenstein I think looked pretty good so far.
Why
Emmanuel,
we weren't going to talk about fisting instead of Isaiah Hartenstein?
no, I decided we would skip that part at least.
Oh, okay.
um, Quickly has been confusing. He's had 2 games now where he missed all of his shots, and then the other games he's shot pretty well, and he's been distributing the ball pretty well, and he's been like helping the team get in the flow of the offense pretty well. So like I'm kind of trying to see where that leads him, but like it was very strange to just see the first game went 0 for 6. Their last game just went 0 for 7. But the games in between, he was perfectly fine.
Well,
So
he better get his shit together because he's like the second coming of Christ.
I know. He's supposed to be like the guy in New York.
He's the
after
Maxey of the
Brunson.
Knicks.
Exactly. They came out in the same draft. Actually, they're like best friends.
I don't know.
Yeah, they post each other all the time on their Instagrams apparently. But
And we're wondering why the guy's going 0 for 6 when he's posting shit on Instagram. He could be using that time getting in the gym.
true.
I don't
I
want to
agree.
see one Instagram post, one tweet. I don't want to see anything.
Until you're averaging 20 a game.
Now, 20 is not even good enough. Like, you should, like, aspire to be a 32 points a game like Tatum is right now. Tatum can tweet all he wants right now. As long as he keeps, averaging 32, he's fine.
True.
The
I
only
agree.
time you could do that shit is when you're in the off season and you're down in whatever island you pick that year. Then you could tweet all you want, drink all you want, which is like two months out of the year.
Exactly.
After that, get off the tweets.
Get off the damn tweeter. So moving on from the Knicks, because I mean, there's not really much more to say about them. Though, what you got this week is what do you think of teams outside of the Atlantic? Right now, I like watching Orlando, to be honest. Banchero's fun to watch. I still like Cole Anthony. I'm waiting to see Jalen Suggs play more than like a game and a half in a row. But also who was I watching that was really... Oh, the Pelicans are a really fun team to watch. The game last night against the Mavericks, they were so fun to watch, and that was without their 2 best players. So, like, the Pelicans, I think, have been great. Their role players have been great. Trey Murphy won me a few bucks in DFS, so thank you, Trey Murphy. But... yeah, I mean, so far, I feel like most things are going as planned, and then there's a few of the teams that are just kind of like, what the fuck is up with you people? Kind of like the Sixers and the Nets.
Some of my favorite teams I like. I was watching the Trailblazers the other night. Anthony Simons going like, 40 for 48 from 3-point line. The guy was shit hot, couldn't miss. He didn't really make 40, but I'm exaggerating. For all the people on Twitter who go, he didn't make 40. You gotta get that idiot on there. Like, yes, I'm exaggerating, moron. But yeah, the Trailblazers, man, 4-0. Dame's looking shit hot. Dame's looking in the MVP conversation. Simons looks really well. Josh Hart's playing well. That entire team's...
Jeremy Grant's been pretty good.
Nurkic, yeah, Jeremy Grant. I mean, he's had a couple. He's like the Quickly of Portland. He had a couple really good games, and then he had a couple shitty ones. So, which is expected from Jeremy Grant because he's never been like a super consistent guy. I mean, the Jazz apparently they're not tanking this season. The Jazz are playing well.
What the hell's been going on there? I
The
mean,
Spurs.
Shout out to Markkinen for my fantasy teams because he's been great. But yeah,
see, I always thought Markkinen was better than people were like making him out to be. Like, he's a solid player.
His biggest issue was that he couldn't stay healthy with
Can't stay healthy, exactly.
Yeah, but he was a damn good player.
The the Spurs. I mean, Keldon Johnson, Vassell, Trey Jones,
Sochan.
Sochan with his hair.
Yep.
That team's looking pretty good, to be honest with you. So the Clippers, Kawhi's missed a game already, and that's not a surprise.
Missed 2 games already.
Oh, it was two.
Yeah,
Wait, I think
he was ruled out like at the very last second of the last game, and then he was out the first game of a back to back.
and that's absolutely. Honestly, I don't understand it because
I
they
don't
were
either.
talking about bringing him back had they advanced far into the postseason last year,
Right.
and then he doesn't end up playing, which I said he wasn't going to, and he had the entire summer off, and now the regular season's here, and now he's still restricted. That does not make sense to me.
My big thing is too. Why not just restrict his minutes? Why is he missing games? Like, cool, put him at 20 to 25 minutes a game, but he has to miss 2 games out of 4 already.
And they're not even starting him, so you're letting the guy get warmed up, then go sit down, and then you're going to bring him in.
Right.
And then he was saying his knee was tightening up or something. What is that? What do you mean tightening up? Like,
Like
give me a.
either he isn't being truthful about exactly what's happening with his health, or the doctors and athletic training team is terrible.
I think it's both. I think they're like, Kawhi, how you doing? Well, the knee's all right. I felt it maybe lock up a little bit. And they're like, oh, shit, no, you can't get out there. They're pulling the panic alarm because anytime Kawhi, they're babying the guy pretty much is what they're doing. My stance would be like, we're paying you all this fucking money. We paid you that last season. You didn't do shit. We didn't have you for last season. You got hurt in the playoffs the year before. And now you're coming in here. You've already missed 2 games. You're not even starting, and you fucking suck. So that would be my stance on it. I'd be like, who wants Kawhi Leonard?
They're like the opposite of the Miami Dolphins with Tua. When they were like, "Oh, you're concussed, get back out there."
You want to know something? The Dolphins had 110% correct. They're like, concussion? This is football. Get out there. I don't care about you. Think we care about your brain?
And then all of a sudden he like froze up, and they're like, "Oh shit."
You're like, maybe we. Yeah, his hand, like he went, the whole,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, yeah. But
No, but I agree. It's crazy. Even Kendrick Perkins was like, I think we have to start talking about Kawhi Leonard the same way we talk about Kyrie Irving, in the fact that he just doesn't want to play.
Uh, and I'll give credit to Anthony Davis though because I forget which game it was. It was he took a pretty hard fall on his
Oh yeah,
back, and he exited. And I go, that's it. He's done for 3 weeks at least. But to his credit, he came back out and he started playing again. I mean, sure he was hobbling and he was limited, but he still was out there.
true. Yeah, I
And
mean
and the
he
Lakers
came
are
right
another
back
one.
out.
The Lakers are another one of my favorite teams to watch because they suck.
I was about to say the Lakers are so bad,
And you want to know
so
something?
bad.
It's not even LeBron's fault because LeBron's playing at an MVP level too.
Exactly. Oh
But it
god,
just honestly,
yeah.
Russ has to get out of there because he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't care what he's doing.
Mm.
He's just putting up shots. He doesn't give two shits. He wants out of there, so they got to get him out of there.
Yeah, they need to just face facts and just realize like, all right, like we gotta just cut this as it is. Just whoever you can get, even if it's just picks, whatever. At least then you can package those picks and trade them somewhere else. Like, just get on with it. That's really all it's going to come down to. And I think the one other team that I would add to that I've liked watching so far is I really like watching Memphis. Memphis has been super fun. I mean, Ja's been playing great. Desmond Bain the other day put up like 38 points. there's also Aldama has pretty much surpassed Brandon Clark. Like Brandon Clark is barely even playing anymore,
And
and
I
Jaren
don't
Jackson hasn't
know,
even played yet.
and I don't know who hasn't played yet.
Jaren Jackson.
Oh yeah, he. Jerry Jackson's another one. He never. But anyways, but they
Yeah,
were
true.
talking about Clark, being, looking good and everything. Next thing you know, Aldama's beating him out for playing time and production easily.
I know. I drafted him in a couple leagues because I was like, all right, Clark's going to get plenty of time because Jaren Jackson's not coming back for a while. And then, yeah, that didn't really happen as expected.
Yeah, well, when Steven Adams gets hurt here in a couple games, then he should pick it back up.
True. Very true. But I think that's it for us, unless you have anything else to add to that.
No, look at
Nice.
that. You get the thanks for watching
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
You're
you got
doing
the
all
thanks
this new
for.
shit.
I know, I'm getting good at this shit now. We'll bring the music back for the little outro here, you know?
I
That's
mean, what
how
is this?
we're getting fancy here. It's just a little,
Like slow jazz to set the mood?
yeah, like a little beat there, the kids call it a little lo-fi beat.
Okay.
But that's it for us.
Next thing you
Thank
know,
you,
next time we
everyone.
come on, I'm going to be lighting some candles. And then you'll really catch me with my pants down.
Really set the mood.
This music's kind of getting to me.
Thank you, everybody, for watching another episode of the Atlantic Files, the #1 podcast on the #1 division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. We'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.